seconds left. It's going to come down.
Favor make it a third as he looks up. Make it up. Finds the draw. Three. Stunning here from.
Hello everyone, welcome back to our final game of the night. It'll be our 8th. We've had a long process for the last couple days. We had an extra match being played yesterday to make room for SI quals, so we could only have 3 today. And our last game will be Sinai Village versus Didn't Ask, a game in which both teams have a 4-3 record, and this could very well be a win-and-in deal.
Yeah, the way this is going to work, and you can do the exclamation point bracket command in chat, and you can actually see this for yourself, but the top 16 teams make it, and as far as we could tell, all 5-3 teams will make it in except one. So if your round differential is good, as long as you're not the 5-3 team who gets gypped, you will be in that bracket, which will take place tomorrow. Here are your rosters, though. The 2 teams we've got in front of you: Sinai Village, that is TK, Fiendful, Misio, Zolaris, and Goose. On Didn't Ask, you've got Envy, Nico, Delta Force, Hawk, and Swoof Sauna. We did see, I believe, Destroyer from Penn State, the collegiate team, also subbing in for Didn't Ask.
Envy, I think.
Subbing in for Envy in that earlier game, so we may see him again here instead of Envy.
Yeah. Didn't Ask have had up and down throughout the first qualifier and the second. They made it to closed the first time, or were taken down in the first round, I believe. So they're looking to, turn that around here. But of course, they've got to go through Sinai Village. And our map will be Clubhouse. As if we couldn't get enough Clubhouse in the SA qualifier stream earlier today, we played Clubhouse once again here in SCS. And Didn't Ask. I have not seen Sinai Village play before, so I just kind of automatically got to give the edge to Didn't Ask, just because they're our known quantity, and the way they play, they can be a very fast-paced team, which on Clubhouse, it can be both a blessing and a curse. Depends on how thorough you are, how the other team is playing, whether they're, playing very rat-like and such. But of course, we have no idea how Sinai Village is going to play, so it's going to be new.
Yeah, you mentioned they're an unknown element, and yeah, we don't have much to go off of them, except for their performance in the previous qualifier. They did also play in our first qualifier, much like Didn't Ask, but Didn't Ask had a much better performance, making it into that top 16, into that bracket, falling to Team Mystic, whereas Sinai Village didn't get more than 2 wins in the Swiss part of the qualifier itself, and did not make it into that top 16. So if you're comparing it like that, not just with what we know or don't know about these teams, Didn't Ask are still in that favored position. But Sinai Village, clearly they're putting on a better performance this qualifier, so maybe that's what we'll see here today. Now, on Clubhouse, we got to take a look at our bans, and as usual, we know what to expect. The Habana is going to be that first ban, so nothing shocking there. It does mean that the Thatcher and the Maverick can't be banned, only one or the other, and it's going to be the Maverick instead. Okay. So unusually so, we've got our Thatcher still in play.
Yeah, Thatcher still in play is a rarity, and Didn't Ask is going to ban Mozzie. That's a new one. The SSG Rome now significantly hampered. This is going to be mainly for that basement site, and that means either Valkyrie or Mira will be left up. Maybe even both. No, it'll just be the Mira. Of course, Thatcher is up, and that leaves only Ace and Thermite as your hard breachers, so we will probably see either both of them every round or one of them every round, supplemented by someone with hard breach charges. That could be Capitao, that could be a Buck, it could even be a Ying, depending on how you want to play your Clubhouse. But it looks like, wow, we almost had a Glass and a Lion. Did you see that?
Wild.
Okay, never mind. It'll just be a Thermite. Oh, no, okay, there's the Ying. And I imagine the Ying might have hard breach charges. I'm not sure. And also, okay, so not only do we have Destroyer in for Envy, we also have Jandy in for
Attackers need to locate and defuse as many
who was
bombs
it?
as they can.
For I can't remember.
Why do you even do that to yourself? You just got to say we got Jandy subbing in
Man,
as well.
I thought I could remember, and it didn't work.
All right, that's okay. Didn't Ask. I'm sure they won't be too disappointed. You do think they are the favorites in this matchup after all, so balances out. But yeah, I mean, you've got this known quantity with a couple more unknown players, subbing into this roster, but known nonetheless. And they've had a pretty solid day so far. Coming up against Sinai Village here, who appear to be going through what is generally going to be a pseudo SSG style roam. You don't have the Mozzie, as you mentioned, because that was banned out by Didn't Ask, anticipating his use for that SSG style roam. But Sinai Village, they have not been dissuaded whatsoever. They are still going to go through their pretty standard checklist. Almost losing his head, that would be TK, trying to get that reinforcement up on that platform wall, but still a Valkyrie instead of the Mozzie assisting her team on this SSG roam.
Interesting that they're still going to be trying to play this roam even without the Mozzie. So significantly less drone denial, but they do have info for themselves in the form of the Valkyrie, so trading info denial for those cameras. Swoof also on this Ying is just pre-firing, and Goose 9000 decides, hey, I'm going to peek it right into the bullets. Questionable at best there. They will lose a C4 operator as well as one of those roamers within the first minute. That's pretty bad. It's not great at all. So now your roamers are kind of forced downstairs. You've got TK over towards main, Lemizio holds in bar.
The Nask making their way through this top floor now. Destroyer sledging open these holes in through master bedroom. Nice impact. That'll take Destroyer down to just 50 HP, and Mizio will finish him off just like that. A quick way to take him down, and, well, a quick way to equalize our man count at a 4v4. Looks like that is going to mark the perfect opportunity, yes, for Sinai Village to now rotate away completely. Everyone on this extension has now retreated to this first floor, giving Didn't Ask control of the first floor, but they still have a lot of work to do. First, they have to figure out that it's clear. It may take them a second to figure that out because everyone is downstairs in the basement. And once they do, they actually have to get boots on the ground and take that control. They don't have someone in Dirt Tunnel yet. They don't have this kitchen hatch being pressured yet, and they only have 1 minute to work with. Yes, losing a player like Goose early is bad for Sinai Village, but taking down Destroyer, those nades, and that sledgehammer, that is key for pressure in Armory, or in Arsenal, rather. I mean, that's a perfect place to be so far.
Yeah, this is really good for Sinai Village. As you said, the time whittling away. We're now down to about 30 seconds. Now, Swoof does have the Candelas. You just see where he dictates them. It's looking like it's going to be to facilitate a blue drop. Flashes will come in to try and burn away any ADSs. He'll send one Candela rolling into AK. He'll send, okay, a second through the blue door, and he'll just drop right on in, but he doesn't deal with Zolaris because he didn't stun in through blue. Interesting decision there from Swoof. Delta Force trades, though. Hawk finds one of his own to open up Church, and he'll be able to get behind Black Box for the plant. There's Jandy as well, pushing down main, getting the kill through Ashwall, and Delta Force will finish it out. So, despite the rough start with the sledge and Swoof just kind of throwing his life away in Ying, Didn't Ask her still able to take the round.
Right, so things started off well for Didn't Ask, then they got a bit messy in the mid-round, eventually actually falling into, I believe that was a 3v4 at one point, after Mizio was able to get that kill as a couple of players pushed down blue. But then Didn't Ask was able to recover that tremendously and then bring that advantage completely back in their favor. A great coordinated push into Church, into blue, and down that long hall at the same time to pretty much cover every single angle that Sinai Village was interested in swinging from. And they did that. They got all those necessary frags. A great play. I think it was Hawk on that Thermite who pushed in from that Moto door, getting a very crucial shot onto the player tucked behind the bomb chassis to really open things up and give Didn't Ask the chance they needed to push into site and take control.
Yeah, that was huge on Delta Force to get those refrags, as well as Hawk playing through Church. So, Didn't Ask take a, well, it was a bit of a rough round one, but it ended up being pretty convincing just in the fights. Now they'll have to attack onto Cash, where, well, they're still taking Ying, and that'll force Goose onto Warden Shotgun, no less. That's interesting. But in taking the Warden, that means you lose important operators like Smoke. like a mute, like an Aruni. So, I mean, he's got a shield, which is great. Also, kind of questioning the Cade pick.
Yeah.
There is a Thatcher on the board, so Cade is... Well, if Jandy knows how to use his EMPs, which I'm sure he does, I've been casting Jandy for a while, Cade is kind of useless.
Smoke would not be useless here at all. Smoke would probably be way more vital than, honestly, even the Warden at this point, because your smoke can deny that push regardless of how blind everyone on the site is going to be. This is where we're going to see if the Electroclaw matters at all, and no, it does not. There was about no way he could get that Electroclaw trick off. There was a couple of EMPs detonating, and that exothermic charge was perfectly timed from Hawk, and that platform wall is open within 60 seconds. So already, the entire use of the Cade is gone. And if you had smoke in play, you'd still have those 3 canisters to deny that plant and deny the rush in from that platform breach and deny the default plant spot behind that server rack. So obviously hindsight 2020 here, but Sinai Village making just a critical error in terms of that selection. But oh my goodness, TK is going to just hit a fantastic shot onto Destroyer, which will quickly remove all worry about their operator selection because they now have the man advantage of 5v4 in their favor.
Sheesh, what a snipe from TK. Excellent work, but they know about Zolaris, and that's going to be a 2-piece for Jandy. Well played by the Thatcher to bring the man count back in his team's favor. And once again, here's the hard breach charges coming into play to open up the bottom of Garage, but Hashtag has since repositioned. He'll light up the legs of the Thatcher, but that's all he's going to have, and that's all he'll have to settle with as Jandy now separates from his team, going back over towards Delta Force on Platwall. We're going to make the push in as Swoof is now bottom Garage, looking for this pick. He'll shoot out the black guys. Now the Kaid knows he's there. They'll even dedicate Candela's, really wanting to make sure that Hashtag is not having a good time. Fully blind. Here comes Goose trying to make something happen. He'll land one shot with the SMG-12, and TK ends up covering his teammate in time. Swoof cannot find the kill, and Didn't Ask Raptor's take goes completely Ari. Now Delta Force is there for the cover. He's tucked himself now in the site. And there's no C4 for the defense to play off of at all. There's no plant denial because they took this Warden and not the smoke. There is no diffuser control for either of these players. Jandy's got to jump down into bottom Garage. He'll pick it up, and he knows there's someone inside of Lounge. Now over towards Swamp. It's going to be the Warden of Goose. He'll jump on through. Jandy needs to win this fight. Juice isn't looking in the right direction despite the vault. It's a 3K for Jandy, leaving TK alone in the site, and he cannot win against Delta Force. 3 for Jandy, 2 for Delta, and another round for Didn't Ask.
Yeah, that's 2 in a row for Didn't Ask, and 2 messy rounds from both teams, but Didn't Ask, despite the odd, we'll call them shenanigans that occur in the mid-round and a couple of their struggles where they start losing bodies and they start losing their grasp on the site, they find a way to pull it back, and that is really what marks a strong T3 team. It's gonna make or break a team almost every single time. If you are the team that can walk into a lobby and no matter your disadvantage, no matter the man count, you can walk into a site with confidence and win gunfights, that is going to put you over the edge. And that's the edge you're going to need to win attacking rounds like this on Clubhouse. I mean, just earlier today, I mean, we've seen a lot of Clubhouse. You talked about that already, Harrison. And we've seen a lot of defensive-sided maps. This is generally going to benefit the defensive side. But right now, Didn't Ask, they're putting on a show right now, and they are snatching these potential defensive victories right out of the arms of Sinai Village. And if this pattern continues, Sinai Village will quickly be in a heap of trouble come the second half. We're just 2 rounds in, so I'm not going to get ahead of myself quite yet, but they've got to now find a site. Sinai Village now have to find a bomb site that they are comfortable on, because after trying Church and Arsenal, after trying CCTV and Cache once, they have come up with just about nothing. Of course, you could try Gym and Bedroom now, or you could go for the repeat, and it does seem that going for the same bomb site twice in a row is going to be their choice. Despite that, I am not given a lot of confidence by this operator selection once again. They are sticking with the Kaid. They're sticking with those Electroclaws, maybe forcing Jandy to play that Thatcher instead of picking somebody else, but it means you'll lose the smoke. It means you lose the mute. It means you lose so much potential here.
Yeah, and Smoke could have literally been a round-winning operator. Like, in the previous, on round 2. You just... One smoke, babe. Gonna shut down that entire push. Nope. We want to Warden and Cade. So, Destroyer, his toes are going to get lit up by TK under the wolf doorway, but he's about to get caught with a disc in his hand, and he still wins the fight. Delta Force, I know you're better than that, man. He'll get cut down to 1 HP, though, off the re-peek. Jandy looking for the frag, and wow, okay, they don't even need the Electro Claws, or they don't even need the Thatcher because the Electro Claws are over towards Garage, and will also not really have an effect because, again, there's a Thatcher. Wow, crazy. This Cade is, I still don't really get it. You can play Bandit.
A lot of options that aren't the Kaid, but Sinai Village sticking to their guns, and again, they have an opening pick, so I guess it's justified, right? At least that's how they're going to think about it when they bring the Kaid for another round and another round after that. But still, they can have this advantage to play with, and while TK is on 1 HP, they've got a couple of players in pretty good spots to work with. They've got to be careful, though, because Zolaris is going to take a head-on gunfight with a hungry fragger, nearly losing his life, but yet again escaping the jaws of defeat for just a moment. Destroyer has also been lit up, of course, and a nade comes up with nothing, so another piece of utility that didn't ask would like back. With under a minute to go, not a ton of options right now. Didn't ask or going for a full rotation over towards the cache side. Destroyer failing to actually swing the angle he opens up, missing a pretty free opportunity onto Zolaris, and once again giving Sinai Village another shot in this round. A lot of players being cut down on low HP, and a Maverick, rather an impact trick that's going to miss, and now he's going to go for the wide swing instead to recover it. He'll drop down Destroyer, but Jandy will find a trade onto TK, finishing off the Wamai.
Jandy Jacuzzi finally gets taken out, though, by Goose. The Maestro swinging around, finding his frags. Destroyer is still on the floor, leaving all up to Hawk and Swoof. In comes the Ying. LMG will outduel the Maestro. Another one for Swoof. Can he make it a third? The C4 goes out from hashtag. It falls upon deaf ears, but it's still all on the Ying with only 4 seconds, but he can't do it. Hashtag shuts him down, and Sinai Village take their first point.
A valiant effort there from Swoof in the closing moments, making full use of those Candelas, not something we saw happen in round number 2. Nonetheless, the rest of his team had already been cut down around him and were not in position to make proper use of those Candelas as well. Really, Sinai Village, as much as we criticize their operator selection, the way they played that, honestly, it was quite impressive. They didn't ask an edge at all. The moment they claimed that opening pick, a rather lucky opening pick with TK onto that was Delta Force downstairs in secret, they just held that advantage. They maintained just enough pressure to make Didn't Ask uncomfortable going through their traditional garage rafters and platform wall push, forcing them to go for a more high-risk rotation all the way around towards the cache side. That was where Zolaris was waiting for them to apply some pressure on that side of the map as well, and then backing off just in the nick of time. Were there a couple of opportunities that Didn't Ask couldn't quite take advantage of? Yes, that would be true, but Sinai Village played that well, and there's no surprise why they were able to secure their first round as a result.
10 seconds left before insertion.
Well played by Sinai Village, but
5 seconds to
also
go.
gotta really hand it to, what was it, TK in the beginning of the round.
Oh, yeah.
Cutting down Delta Force and lighting Destroyer up to 1 HP. Those ended up being really, really influential. Oh, they changed the camera animation because you can move it now. I just noticed that. Little camera eye moves around. That's funny. Now they're going to be on Jim. Didn't Ask, of course, are going to start with a cache side clear. Zolaris is just chilling in server, and so the Thermite is going to go off on the wall, and he is going to immediately fall back. As you can see, Sinai Village are clearly playing for a construction hold rather than inside of cache and server itself. They've got probably that shield in the master doorway. The wall itself is reinforced. They've got Rooney Gate, I imagine ADSs, Wamidus, all that utility stacked up to make sure this shield persists as long as possible. Ooh.
Destroyer looking to hunt down the player here in bar. That's going to be Zolaris, who's actually now creeping towards the hole that was pre-established. But Destroyer had since backed off that position. And Looks like a drone spotted him out, but Zolaris again, this back and forth information battle will benefit neither team just yet. 1 minute burned. And Didn't Ask still trying to get a foothold on this round. The only thing they're going to find is TK getting another opening pick. That's 2 rounds in a row that TK has found that opener. But this time, TK has 100 HP after that engagement rather than a sliver of health remaining. Already expending a couple of Candelas. That Swoof getting maybe a bit over-eager because where's the team to capitalize on that? As far as that was, that's a wasted piece of utility that the Ying would certainly like back when it comes to that eventual push.
That was a lot of wasted utility. Delta Force with both of his stuns in after the Candela already cleared the Wamai disc. The shield being blown up by both the Zoe charge and the nade from Destroyer. So like there was a lot of miscommunication there from whose utility was going where and when. But Vizio's gonna expose himself to the hatch. That's a little bit odd. So Jandy's death will be traded out as Delta Force is now on the hunt. There's a defender downstairs and he knows it, and that Wamai is gonna get cut down. TK did not stand a chance as Delta Force hits the bag before claiming the kill. 4 versus 3, one-man advantage for Didn't Ask. Moving to the last 40 seconds, they have plenty of time to work with as they now open the reinforcement of Logi, but Destroyer overextends on the hatch and overexposes himself to Zolaris as Goose gets another, but Zolaris gets traded out by Delta Force, though the Zoe is very low on HP. A lot of this is going to be on Hawk and whether or not this Thermite can become the Fragmite. Does he even know hashtag is right up against this doorway? Goose finishes what little was left of Delta Force, and you can tell Hawk has absolutely no info. It's an easy kill for the castle, despite hashtag's almost whiff, and Sinai Village tie it up.
It's another round where it feels that Sinai Village, they're not doing anything special to earn these round wins. But what they're doing is just enough to force Didn't Ask to make some mistakes. It was the early round where Didn't Ask made a couple of troubling errors. We both talked about it, Harrison. The use of utility was a bit troubling. And maybe a couple of their positioning mistakes after that also left a little bit to be desired. Both teams making a couple of errors. You mentioned Sinai Village maybe overexposing themselves to a couple of angles, but at the end of the day, Didn't Ask, they lacked a bit of utility coming into the site. There's a reason for that. They wasted it, just maybe not as careful as they should have been. And that lack of utility, that lack of information, resulted them being on the losing end of most of those engagements. Even though they held an advantage for a certain point in the round, it was Sinai Village who were able to swing things back. So we've seen this back and forth game happen so far where it seems that Sinai Village just can't quite finish out the rounds that they start off well, and now it's Didn't Ask who may have these moments in the rounds where they're shining, but they're just not securing it at the end of the day. And, well, no matter how pretty it looks, when you get those rounds on the scoreboard, that is what is going to get you through to that closed part of the qualifiers here. And if not, you're going to be left behind in the dust by your opponent here today.
Attackers are moving out to locate a bomb and defuse it.
Bring the Warden again, huh? Goose really likes this Warden. He also plays it with the shotgun, which is a little bit odd, but I guess, hey, if you're sacrificing a smoke or a mute for him, you still need that site construction ability. And TK is going to get TK'd. Ah, how fitting. How did that happen? What was hashtag shooting at?
Was opening up the ash wall just for fun?
With his LMG?
Who knows?
That was weird.
Yeah. Well, Didn't Ask, I guess. They have the advantage they want. No more TK getting that opening pick because hashtag wasn't having it. This time you've got Zolaris, though, for Sinai Village, and he will be the one to recover a little bit of this round. And more than that, killing probably maybe the second most important player in this lobby right now. It's your sledge. Obviously, Destroyer is important, no doubt, but it's more so what he brings to the table as a sledge with that breaching hammer and with those nades. He no longer has the ability to sledge open the entire floor of kitchen and apply pressure to everyone tucked in Arsenal. No longer will they be able to force those Sinai Village defenders into uncomfortable positions. Sure, you can still open the kitchen hatch. I mean, you'll have to avoid the impact trick from hashtag, but now you're going to have a lot more trouble actually securing the control that you would like. player back generator can no longer be naded out. You can use those candelas, yes, but you're lacking the utility that you would certainly like back at this point.
Am I about to watch Goose challenge Church Table to top blue with an SMG-12? All right, he's off the angle, thank God. That is not a fight you want to take, especially not against a Zoe LMG, which has quite the range on you with that. But you just slowed down a little bit for Didn't Ask. Setting up for the execute, gathering intel in sight, trying to figure out where the hell everyone is at. Seems like one player is going to be joining Delta Force in his take through blue, although there's no one behind generator, so Delta Force might not really require the assistance, although I'm sure it's appreciated. Goose is going to be the first defender on the site to die as he dies to Swoof as Jandy finds a follow-up. Make that 2 follow-ups, and Hawk is just going to demolish Mizio on the peak. And, well, Sinai Village just simply didn't stand a chance when they came down to it.
Well, there's that angle again that Hawk seems to thrive on as the Thermite just walking through that moto door. If there's someone even near the bomb chassis, they're as good as dead. That's a couple of rounds now where we've seen him succeed in that gunfight. And it seems it Didn't Ask. They've got this basement attack down. They couldn't quite lock down CCTV and Cash both times. They couldn't quite take Gym and Bedroom on that attempt that they had. But Church and Arsenal, we've seen it twice. They've attacked it successfully twice. But here we're going to a site with a little bit of that mixed history, right? CCTV and Cash is up next for Sinai Village, and they'll be looking to repeat the round just that we had a couple of rounds ago in round number 3. Something I'd really love to see here, Harrison, I know we've talked about this, is a smoke. It's a freaking smoke, and I'm not asking for a lot. I'm just asking for some toxic canisters and some brains on this team. And that's not what we're seeing right now.
They dropped the Warden, so they don't have a shield.
I mean, then they're bringing the Cade again. They're killing me with the Cade. Why?
Even then. Even if they still didn't have a shield, and they just had a Bandit, these would be fine. But, nope. They really want that Cade, and they really want the Maestro. Well, Didn't Ask. I've now figured, hey, this Ying hasn't really been doing too much in terms of utility. Swoop's just kind of been killing people with the gun, and that's it. So, if he likes the LMG so much, we might as well stick him on a more useful one. They'll bring the Capitao because their garage clear didn't really go as planned last time. Well, Capitao is perfect for that, and he'll make sure that whoever's playing in Rafters, I was trying to come up with a quip. I just lost all sense of the English language.
Again, it's been a long day.
It has.
Well, they've got both of these garage panels open. Swoof using both of those can opener secondary hard breach gadgets now that has been doubled from the initial you just have the 1 to now you get 2 every time you bring that gadget with you as the Cappy Towers, that Buck or somebody who wields that gadget. That means they have several angles to approach here in Rafters. Last time we saw them unsuccessful on this site, it was because they avoided the Rafters take. They maybe thought about it initially, but eventually backed off, preferring that cash side clear, and while showing to us that either Didn't Ask, that's not their favorite approach, or Sinai Village have a much easier time defending that. Because now, it looks like they're going to have to defend Rafters a lot more. And again, it's going to be up to TK in that early fight, and Destroyer is not having it this time. It's a perfect nade right onto the Wamai. Unfortunately for him, no more magnets to protect him. Likely those magnets devoted to Hashtag's position on the Rafters itself rather than down by concrete. So Didn't Ask will start off strong.
That was really good timing from our observer to catch the nade heading like a baseball to the face. That was awesome. Now Swoof will move in, and obviously his goal is Rafters. Okay.
Oh, that guy's dead.
They have a Wamai! What? Where'd you put the discs? Alright, well. Rafters is a freebie. Hawk will get 1. Alright, there's another freebie for Jandy. And Missio's in a 1v4 as Valkyrie. He's got a C4 to his name, but he will let both players up the stairs because that angle is really slim.
Bomb located by attackers.
But what?
Dude, these Electro Claws, they're so big brain, you will never understand.
Go with the electro claws on that wall.
Don't even question it. Don't question it. The first Electro Claw was for the downstairs for one of the garage walls, and that one was there for posterity. It made the wall look good, and that's what matters. Diffuser down, didn't ask, well on their way to taking a 4-2 attacking half. It's going to be all up to Mizio on the Valkyrie, and Delta Force will make that one pretty quick. I don't have to go through much because Mizio is not much longer for this world. 4-2 for didn't ask. Not the cleanest attacking half. They made sure to exploit every mistake that Sinai Village made, and they will, at least for now, be the team with a 2-round advantage.
I hated that. There were 2 electro claws on the garage wall. And there were no discs in rafters. What the hell?
I told you you wouldn't understand. See, had they brought a smoke, it would have been bad. No smoke.
I am still. I think didn't Jandy 6-pick off of Finka every single round?
Many bombs as they can.
I think it's just more of been just a meme. They've just been like, we like every time there's a Fink in the lobby.
Because
Jandy
was on the first like 3 rounds. Jandy would show Finka and then 6 Thatcher.
Yeah.
I think he did that every single round.
But can't do it now because he's smoke, and that's refreshing to see.
Yes. Smoke. And they have both Bandit and Cade. Yes. I am so indescribably happy right now.
5 seconds left before insertion.
At least Sinai Village's attacking lineup isn't scuffed.
Attacker's objective is to locate a bomb.
At least that's normal.
Well, now the question is,
Imagine if they
And-
just weren't bringing Thatcher.
well, right, and the question is, can they deal with a bandit trick? Because based on the whole back and forth with electricity and all those shenanigans, it would surprise you the caliber of teams that can't deal with a bandit trick. We've seen it in Challenger League. Sinai Village, now they're going to be put to the test here. You've got hashtag up on the platform wall. Mizio is still out in the grapes here, so he'll have to come back in to support. And you've got your Zofia. You've got Zolaris in position to go for the stun. There's a barricade in position to potentially hinder that. Here comes that first EMP, and here comes Swoof with that first battery. Second EMP now going down, so Swoof can do a little bit of a switch here. Hashtag just going for the bait back and forth, and this is where the round is going to potentially live and die for Sinai Village. They need to get this done. We're not seeing nades. We're not seeing Zofia. Now Zolaris is going to prove impactful. First one burned by an ADS. Second stun's going to come out. Next EMP is going to come out, and because Swoop is busy with that C4, the bandit trick will be denied, and Zolaris will get that kill onto Swoop as well. Nice work there from Sinai.
Nice.
Took him a minute, but they got it done.
Wow. Jandy getting lit up from the wall. He almost joined, Jandy Jacuzzi almost joined Swoof Sauna in the grave. About 1:35 left, and there it is. Jandy gets taken out. Easy. So no more bandit. That's a C4 dead. And you've lost all your gas canisters, though Delta Force, it's looking like he wants to come up for a flank. He'll shoot the drone, so now they know exactly where he's coming from. So he'll dart away and wait for a bit, figuring, hey, if I wait long enough, then Sinai Village will stop covering their backs, and I can go for it. He's largely going to be on Hawk and Destroyer inside the site itself to try and make something happen. But Delta Force actually lands the kill onto hashtag. That's Thermite. That's massive. There's no one on Sinai Village with secondary hard breach charges. So that's it. Construction will be locked off. All they have is the single doorway because Delta Force was downstairs with a pre-made angle, left unchecked through that hatch. Brilliant play from the Jaeger, and he figures, hey, I don't have to go for this flank anymore. I can go the safe way back up to site, rejoin my team as Hawk finds another kill onto Goose. Down goes the Iana, and what? Delta Force wins that fight? Mizio, you gotta win that. At least there's a trade back. Make it 2, leaving Hawk alone, and he's stuck on red stairs. Zolaris punches his way through, and he's got the case, but Hawk has impacts. Does he know where the plant is going down? He thinks it's by default, but no, that's the wrong guess. He has no info whatsoever, and now Zolaris and TK on full HP only need to land 1 or 2 bullets into the body of Hawk to win this round. And TK holding the angle will land a spray through. He'll pre-fire away and catch Hawk with a Pokeball in hand. Sinai Village will take round 7.
Hard to know what to say there about Sinai. They started out well. They got the bandit trick dealt with, which was the first step and the thing I was focusing on at the beginning of the round. And then they had to make that famous decision: are you taking rafters or are you taking cash or taking construction? They went for construction. That failed. Yet they were still able to find the frags, and that was what was most impressive about the round. Both of these teams have managed to impress in that sense, when no matter what kind of situation they're in, they could still pull it out. As long as it's not like a massive 1vx scenario, if they still have a couple of bodies in the mix, they are going to get the job done, regardless of utility, regardless of how this situation may be favoring one team or another. And didn't ask, while they had their moments, and there was a good few seconds in those last few rounds when in those last few seconds rather, where it seemed like, okay, they've got full control of this and there's no shot that Sinai Village can push on in. Sinai Village managed to, make a couple of last-minute adjustments. You had Mizio outside that platform wall, who ended up losing that gunfight to Delta Force, but just his presence, it made Didn't Ask focus on a couple of different angles at once. It allowed CCTV window to become a bit more of a threat, and put simply, it allowed somebody to walk into that cache doorway, forcing the player on those red stairs all the way back down. Again, it was messy, but Sinai Village got it done. They took that third round, and they are starting to maybe tighten this up a bit. There's no question that Didn't Ask, they're playing a little bit cleaner right now. It's a little tidier for them. But Sinai Village are still hanging in there, and they're still making the rounds work for them when it counts.
They've had some pretty good perseverance so far through some of these rounds. Delta Force is upstairs, looking for any pre-placed drones. Zolaris is just going to come sprinting in. He'll throw the drone, but Delta Force will shoot it out, alerting the Zofia of his location, but still providing a distraction, looking to waste time. But down about 40 seconds, Hawk is also at his bottom red here to support. Delta Force might be looking to go back down the stairs as Zolaris now leaves rafters. No, never mind. Zolaris thinks better of it. Okay, okay, he wants to avoid the angle from red stairs onto Grushers. That makes sense. A vault down instead. Delta Force impacting next to Swamp, interestingly enough.
Ooh.
And he'll eventually just die to a nade from Goose. Well played.
Yeah, nice nade there. Great teamwork all around from Sinai Village, using about every available body, every available drone to figure out Delta Force's position, force him to exactly where they knew they could get that nade and take care of him. Didn't have any ADSs to support that extended roam position, and that means that, within 90 seconds, Sinai Village have dealt with the entirety of this roam, and now they are moving on to bigger and more important things, namely opening up this Moto hatch and getting some pressure on the basement site itself. Jandy, a C4 up and not wasted, because Mizio has taken about 50 HP worth of damage, but you really want that Nitro Cell to get a kill, because now you only have one C4 to deny that plant. Swoof does have the smoke. Again, it's good to see Didn't Ask bringing out this vital operator, and you do have those toxic canisters, but with your teammates crumbling all around you, it doesn't matter how much plant denial you have, because when it comes down to these gunfights, you are going to be at a severe disadvantage.
There's 50 seconds left. As Hawk gets spotted watching Oil Pit, situation gets a little bit worse here for Didn't Ask. Hawk no longer has that element of surprise. Zolaris is looking to push down Blue, dumping in his utility ahead of him. He'll stun out Hawk, as Goose now deviates from his pack and joins the Thermite and the Buck on the main stairs Moto push. In he goes, looking for the frag, but he'll get stunned out by his own team. As Hawk, distracted by the hatch, looks up and dies to Mizio. Jandy cannot find the trade, and it's a flawless round for Sinai Village on their second attack. They take 2 in a row and tie us up 4-4.
That one was a lot cleaner. Probably the cleanest round we've seen from Sinai Village yet. It started out with a beautiful roam clear. Great job identifying where Delta Force was positioned and dealing with him accordingly. And from there, great job quickly, within about 30 seconds, identifying that the rest of that first floor was clear so they could freely move around and do the due diligence they needed to open up those angles onto the basement site below. They did that with relative ease, and when they took the gunfights, they won them every single time. Clean. Across the board, that is a great way to send a message that maybe we are indeed seeing an attacker-sided clubhouse. A little bit too soon to call that out, but it was a 4-2 half. Ford didn't ask, and already Sinai Village have taken 2 rounds. Didn't ask, still have not found that bomb site that they are comfortable on and able to secure. We're going to head back to CCTV and Cash now, and they'll be trying to make something happen, trying to remedy the mistakes of that previous round. And once again, we are seeing that very similar lineup. You've got the presence of the Smoke and the Bandit and the Kaid.
Yeah, this is the same lineup we saw previously on their Cash defense, which unfortunately they had lost. Delta Force almost made a game-winning play too. Unfortunately, Didn't Ask could not stop Sinai Village from pushing through one doorway. See as well, I believe, who was it? Someone from Didn't Ask got picked off really. It was Swoof. Swoof got picked off really early, denying the breach as well. So, I mean, that was a C4 down to begin with. Goose is also now off Iana onto Finka, interestingly enough. So, I mean, hey, they've got an extra set of nades. Since they're taking the buck over the sledge.
Bomb located
But
by attackers.
I don't know. I guess the Finka's fine. The Finka pick's fine. Wait, did he? No frickin' way. No frickin' way.
What?
Okay, they gotta try. We need to talk about that.
Yeah.
So the play was obviously EMPs on the roof. They'll disable the bandit batteries. They'll disable the ADSs next to the window. All that anti-projectile utility will be done and dusted so they can get the nade in. Down goes the bandit. And then Goose threw the nade before the EMP went off. And then just got swung. I mean, you traded it out for Delta Force. I mean, sure, that's great. But you're losing a Finka who used no utility for a Jaeger, whose ADSs are now recharged on the window. I mean,
we know though from past experience that's enough for Sinai, right? They did the bare minimum to get the wall open, and they did. And in addition to that, they're fragging out still. They're still finding a way to get these kills, and they're forcing Destroyer to prone around. He's obviously in an uncomfortable position, just throwing these Kaid claws pretty willy-nilly, but that one is actually going to land perfectly on the wall. Jandy getting a great kill, but also killing his teammate, remaining in putting Didn't Ask in this disadvantage. Another good kill from him, though, on the Smoke, now finding 10 kills on the map so far, shutting down TK and keeping this into an even 2v2. 50 seconds are remaining, and that means Jandy's going to start using those toxic babes. But right now, Jandy and Destroyer pretty isolated from one another, and Destroyer's position has been telegraphed. Sinai Village know exactly where he is on rafters, and Jandy is going to have to put in a good bit of work to support his teammate, because you've got all this pressure mounting from construction, and Destroyer, all he can do is watch the doorway through this melee hole. Jandy will sit back behind the reinforcement, hoping he can catch these players running on in, and they are going to line up for him and allow Jandy to go for the quad kill and finish off the round. I know what you're going to say, Harrison. I know, and I need you to stay calm. But yes, Sinai Village, after sitting there for 30 seconds, they decide their best move is to run into a doorway that is watched diligently from 2 different angles. It's okay, buddy. Breathe. Breathe from the diaphragm. It helps.
they decided they were going to shift W single file through a doorway, even though the gas had plenty of time to clear off the breach, and they could have planted close breach with no recourse from the smoke. Because green box covers it. And Cade would have had to land the C4 the Sentry, which they still technically had time to bait out. Yeah. They also had someone pushing bottom red. For whatever reason, solo. We're like, hey, Buck, make a play. And TK was like, all right. And then he died. Because you're just not going to...
Jandy stepped up pretty big, though. I mean, Jandy got 4
Jandy
kills.
did. And a
Delta
TK.
Force had been the top fraggler, died on the entry, and Jandy picked it up.
He did. Even though he killed his teammate.
Yeah.
He still won the round. Well played to Jandy. Getting, I guess, the last 4 kills in a row. Right? Even then, right?
Oh my god.
That's unfortunate for Swoof. But even then, right? They they knew the cage was in garage.
They knew exactly
why
where it
were
was.
they
The
gonna
only door he could
sprint
see.
Through cash door.
He had the one angle to watch. And that was the door.
That made me upset. But Zolaris is gonna try and make up for it. He wallbangs Swoof downstairs in secret. That was unfortunate for Swoof. He's gonna have to do the go to the sauna in heaven now. As now hashtag opens up the main wall onto Plat to start initiating this cache clear. And they're gonna have to do it against quite the odd operator lineup. Goyo, Frost, and Ella. Plenty of shields here for the defense. As Delta Force decides to push off the shield and up, he gets caught by the Zoe charge. But Jandy will respond with a kill onto the Finka. Right out the window, down goes a big driving force. That's funny. Jandy's the one to kill the Finka. That's ironic. But still, it's a one-man advantage for Sinai Village.
In a good position here, but didn't ask. I mean, you've still got Jandy up, and we saw what he could do in the last round, even with a man disadvantage. But Sinai Village now, they've got the classic mid-round struggle to deal with, right? They now have control of the map. Now they have to build up for this execute. TK will be the one to take this first fight. That one's going to be against Hawk the Goyo, who takes a lot of damage in that engagement. He'll dish out a little bit as well towards TK, but not quite as much as he was dealt. Destroyer, however, will whip out Frost SMG and take care of Mizio. Mizio not even going to shoot back in that engagement, meaning we've got an even 3v3. Zolaris now all alone here in logistics. A dangerous position if someone from Didn't Ask is going to go for that swing, but soon enough, Sinai Village will likely group around their teammate and join this push in logistics. That they will. Destroyer, aware that there's multiple players on this angle, nearly swinging out and losing his life to one. C4 now ripped, teased in one direction, but Hawk is all going to waste that. Jandy, great shot onto TK, but quickly answered by hashtag Destroyer. He's been holding that angle for a while, and it will finally pay off, leaving hashtag alone in a 1v2. Destroyer, he knows exactly where to look, as does Jandy. They can, as long as they hold their necessary angles, they really can deny hashtag from pushing in from just about everywhere, but not if this wall bang is successful. Here comes Jandy, shotgun in hand, but he whips! Jandy! Oh no, Jandy, after a huge play in the previous round, he will miss the crucial shot to put his team over top.
Jandy, no.
He didn't believe in the shotgun enough. You gotta believe.
Jandy. I am so sad right now. Jandy, I gotta level with you, man. You just didn't have to do that. You just didn't have to push. Why did you take the fight?
Defenders, protect your bombs from being defused
Why'd you do
by
that?
attackers.
I know you're feeling yourself. You're 14 and 5. You're riding high. You just didn't need to do that. Not only that, but you had the audacity to take the fight and not believe in the shotgun. I can't believe you right now. Luckily, he's got no shotgun this round. He's on Valk. And, well, Didn't Ask. They were up 5-4. They could have easily gone on to match point. But they threw it away, and now they're in the hot seat.
5 seconds left before insertion.
Yeah, I mean, we're tied up at 5 here. I mean, it's not like this is running away from either team. They are keeping it close. but as far as the games we've seen so far, we are seeing a little bit more, probably unforced errors, you could call them, from both of these teams than we have in our previous matchups. Maybe we're more cynical. It's later at night. Maybe we're just being more critical of these teams, but it really does feel like we are seeing these teams get a little bit more clumsy. I mean, I'm sure it's been a long day for them as well. And now comes the time when, despite that fatigue, it is make or break for you. You win, and you're almost guaranteed in to that bracket. You're almost guaranteed that top 16, and you have a chance to fight for your spot in SCS Season 6. You lose, you're out. There's nothing you can do about that. It's as simple as that. This is our second qualifier. For our first split, you're done. You'll have to look towards the next one. Now, both of these teams still sit poised and can absolutely run away with this one. Didn't Ask. Even though we're tied up at 5, it still feels like Didn't Ask are in the driver's seat, but Sinai Village are constantly fighting against that narrative, and they are constantly looking to find an edge and take the advantage. They've yet to hold a lead in this game so far, but they are so close from doing so. They just have to chain 2 successful rounds together.
Hashtag's going to go ahead and open up Moto Hash. Destroy, unfortunately, the K trick is poorly timed. Really needed to do that a lot earlier. I guess was scared of a follow-up EMP, perhaps. But still 5v5. Not a single body has fallen. Just a tiny bit of damage off of Hashtag as he went to pre-place the exothermic charge on the hatch. TK is doing his best with the buck, destroying the floor and getting adequate vertical play over Arsenal. As Missio now separates and goes over towards Oil Pit, looking to help the blue push. Destroyer, though, will be the first fighter to hit the floor. Goose will take the opening frag. Hawk hears the nade being cooked, but he's going to have to dart away as the flash comes in. Goose will only succeed in dealing a little bit of damage here to Hawk, but in comes the blue push Solaris with the first frag into the sight onto Delta here. And Swoof can't refrag. Oh, no! It's kills completely in the favor of Sinai, but Hawk,
great shot.
he catches 2. Can't land the third, though. Already down on main stairs. TK will pre-fire him into the grave. And again, what could have been match point or Didn't Ask will now go the other way. 6-5 for Sinai Village. And remember, this match is likely a win and in. If you lose this, you have no chance in making it to top 16.
Sinai Village, I mean, I did just say that they hadn't taken 2 rounds in a row and secured the lead, but finally they did it. As if on cue, Sinai Village have now seized the lead from Didn't Ask, confirmed that we are seeing an attacker-sided clubhouse, and are now the first team to have eyes on match point. Here they are at 6-5, perfectly poised to clean out Didn't Ask, shut them out of their chances at making the closed qualifier portion of this qualifier yet again. And of course, despite the mistakes, that last round was another clean one. It was dominant the entire way through. And even though we saw a mighty effort made from the Jaeger in those last few seconds, in a 1v5 situation, it was very unlikely that any sort of comeback could have happened. But we're seeing Didn't Ask. They are searching desperately for their second defensive round win. They're going to head back to CCTV and Cash to do it. This is where Jandy was able to come in clutch last time, get that quad kill, and propel Didn't Ask to their only defensive win. So you might as well do it here. But Sinai Village, they've also been successful on this site. I don't know what kind of teams we're going to be seeing on this round, because they seem to be back and forth every single time.
This game's been a mess. Delta Force is opening a really big punch hole angle and completely missing that guy on the rappel. That's a little bit unfortunate for our resident Jaeger player. Could have found an early freebie, but instead he will walk away with nothing. Once again, we will have the same play from Sinai Village, where they will EMP away the ADSs, and, well, Goose doesn't even... It doesn't even leave Goose's hand, and despite the Finka dying, they still go for the Thermite play. One charge will be, Bandit tricked, Unfortunately, Swoof can't get the second, but it does severely limit the attack's options, as now they're forced to actually just rush in, but they're being battled back. The defense holds on strong, 4v2, as the rush does not work out in the attacker's favor. They'll be able to get one back thanks to Zolaris onto Jandy. Swoof extremely lit, but so is the Zofia as he rushes in with the LMG. He takes the kill. Actually, it's TK with the frag. Now Hawk and Delta Force have to clutch up the 2v2 if they want any chance remaining in this game. Headshot onto TK puts it all on the shoulders of Zolaris, who is just 1 HP on the Zofia. Plant is down. He'll crouch through. Hawk is not looking the right way, and he doesn't land the second, though. 3 is all the Zofia will get. Delta Force clutches up, and didn't send us to overtime as the rush is unsuccessful.
Wow, we've got overtime on our hands here, and that one really looked like Didn't Ask we're gonna take it just from the initial bandit trick, and then once again, as if on cue, as always it seems in this map, Sinai Village take our expectations and throw them out the window. They say, you know what? With that one thermite charge burned, we've got no other options of approaching this site. We're not going to take the time to clear out rafters. Let's sprint in and be a big ol' surprise for this defensive team. They pushed in, and initially it worked, but then Didn't Ask fought themselves out of that brief hole, eventually putting that into a 2v1 in favor of the defense. And while they did lose a player, Zolaris was on so low HP that all that last defender had to do was breathe on the Zofia, and the round would be done and dusted. But here we're on overtime now, and Didn't Ask, they started out on the attacking side because Sinai Village chose defense. So unfortunately for Didn't Ask, their selection of preferring the defensive side here in overtime actually turns out to have backfired, because we saw an attacker-sided 4-2 split both times on both halves of this clubhouse map.
Sure, Didn't Ask aren't too happy about starting defense in OT now. They've got quite the shield setup once again. Frost, Goyo, Alibi instead of the Ella. Delta Force, I guess, getting on the more comfortable MX4 Storm, because the Scorpion recoil still kind of hits diffy sometimes. But I mean, they very nearly won this round. If Jandy didn't troll. But, I mean, again, it was down to a 1v1. It could have gone either way. You can't rely on that as a successful round if you're the defense, but Delta Force will be looking to put things in his team's favor as Zolaris, the largest driving force for Sinai Village, goes down early.
All right, Delta Force, the fact that he's still alive in this lobby right now is always a good sign for Didn't Ask. Obviously, Sinai Village have been good at, taking care of Delta Force so far, but not in this round. And he is going to be looking to add to his 13-kill tally. The fact that he got a kill onto Zolaris as well, the clear top frag of Sinai Village right now, is also quite impactful. Here comes Sinai Village. They're now going to get this wall open. Exothermic charge successful, because no contestation on this extension with any sort of bandit tricking. That's not the site. They're not going to put that much utility into cache and CCTV. The utility, the manpower that's put onto this side of the map is really just geared up towards cache, and that manpower is now backing off at the perfect time as well. Now that the pressure from Sinai Village is building, looks like Swoof will also be fragging out. Downstairs, he'll take another engagement and win it out for Didn't Ask, putting them over the edge here. A 5v3 advantage, really looking to take what would be their third defensive round of the map.
The shield in the middle of the site goes down thanks to the Flores. First time we're seeing him in this lobby as he goes ahead and opens the Logi hatch next. He's going to have to contend with Hawk, who is looking to challenge. Again, 5v3, not a great position for Sinai Village here. They've only got their support players left, who admittedly have not been fragging the best so far. You've even got Delta Force downstairs opening the angle into the Logi rotate. If any attacker tries to take this control into the double door, they're surely to meet their fate there. Goose, though, will be alone on the middle balk on Highway, looking for any wayward defenders leaving themselves exposed to any angles here. He'll open up the barricade, pop open a couple panels, but spot no one. Destroyer is safe, covered by the mattress, and he's holding onto the con doorway with Mizio. If he hops through here, he will surely be dead. Goose gets cut down from the balcony. There's Delta Force's kill from below, and it's just hashtag alone in a 1v5. Didn't ask take a flawless round swoop with 2 influential frags, and Didn't ask put themselves up 7-6.
Well, as much as we've praised Didn't Ask this map, they actually haven't had such a dominant victory like that until now. I mean, really, it's been Sinai Village who've been the ones who've stepped up and gotten those more dominant round wins, but this time, Didn't Ask for the first time will make it happen and swing things in their favor here. Finally, securing their 3rd win on the defensive side and looking to round things out on the attack. Sinai Village, well, they'll pick their ops just in the nick of time. It looks like maybe a little bit indecisive. Not quite sure which of these bomb sites they wanted to go to. And again, understandably so. They've had a tough time defending all of them, and they are going to opt for the basement as their site of choice. We're also going to see the ace from Swoop for, I believe, the first time on this map, replacing the Finca and going with these Selma charges as well. So doubling up on the hard breach, which is not something that either team has been really inclined to do thus far.
And Delta is very happy to type after Sinai Village typed first, I guess. 14-7, 16-7 for Jandy. 30 combined kills between 2 players, with above a 2.0 KD. Wonderful stuff from those two. Didn't Ask are back on the favored side. It was a 4-2 attacking half to start things off, I believe. So I think the score right now is, what, 8-4? Well, now 8-5 because Didn't Ask was able to win a defense, but still in the favor of the attack. So Didn't Ask are likely very happy about this. We've also got Swoop off the Ying, off the Capitao, onto a hard breacher on the Ace. Didn't Ask bring both of the available ones, so supplemented, of course, by that Thatcher. They're going to have to take on to the downstairs site with no roam to speak of. All 5 of these players firmly anchored on the bomb sites. So a lot of free control here for Didn't Ask.
Yeah, with that control, they'll be just looking to cover their bases here. We can see Delta Force. We saw him place that Claymore on his flank over by Oil Pit. Not eager to let anyone sneak up from behind from Sinai Village and go for one of those high-risk, high-reward type plays. We haven't really seen a lot of that aggression from Sinai Village. They've really done a lot better when they've just been sitting back and waiting for Didn't Ask to push on in, and that's going to be consistent yet again for Sinai. We can see TK, the most forward position of this team, just positioned on the main stairs here, looking to maybe secure some vertical play, wary of Destroyer and this angle that he's been establishing almost every single round. Very tough angle to fight from below. He's not going to have much more than a pixel to really spot out, and so he will back off that angle and think better of it. In the meantime, Didn't Ask have now secured complete control of this first floor, now identifying that the position is clear, and for, I don't know about the first time, but one of the few times Destroyer has still been alive for this basement attack, and he can finally utilize that breaching hammer to its fullest potential, making a potential impact trick of this kitchen hatch a little more difficult. There are 4 impacts, though, both in the hands of Goose and TK, so these Selma charges, they may be hindered just a bit.
That was funny. I think it, like, bounced off the, what do you call it? Bounced off the table, and TK missed the first impact, then used his second impact after the ace charge had already gone through. So that is a wholly unsuccessful trick. So free kitchen hatch control. Destroyer is now going to continue breaching above the site. We've still got the Cade and Moto, though. This hatch has not been opened just yet by the attackers, and it doesn't look like they're too interested in doing so. Jandy, the Thatcher, has already used all of his EMPs and is pushed towards bottom main. Maybe they're playing for Hawk to open up Church Wall? Swoop takes a lot of damage. But wait, Delta Force is just in! What? Where did Delta come from? He's gonna get 3! How do you allow this to happen? This guy is just down blue stairs at the 4th for Delta! The quad kill! On for the ace, but Jandy denies it. It's a flawless round for Didn't Ask, as Delta Force just materialize materializes in the middle of the site. Where the hell did he come from?
Unbelievable. Delta Force.
Where did he come from?
He teleports in and assassinates everybody. Apparently, he walked down the blue stairs. I mean, I would guess just kind of walked into Gen and nobody cared. Nobody bothered to look that way.
And Jandy had a combined 35 kills. They were 35 and 15.
Good lord.
That is a 2.33 repeating KD between the two of them.
That's good stuff. I gotta admit, I think Didn't Ask played the better game. I think they deserved to win this matchup. But I think we could all agree that it was messy and it left a lot to be desired. Didn't Ask if they want to have improve their performance from the last closed bracket, and they want to make it through and have any chance at actually getting to that top 4 and making our SDS Season 6 Split 1. They will certainly need to tidy it up and not play as loose as you could say they were playing in this particular matchup. Sinai Village, or however they choose to pronounce Sinai, clearly they are a good team, but they have a lot to work on, and they put up quite a fight against Didn't Ask, but it was the mistakes that really characterized the performance overall. And if they could have this one back, I'm confident they would do it differently. And I think it could have absolutely gone the other way. Maybe if they'd tidy things up a bit.
I still can't believe that Delta Force just walked down blue stairs into the site and killed everything in his path. Where was that Wamai looking?
Where was he looking? Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a damn minute. He comes through looking back Arsenal? No, you can't do that. What are you talking about?
So he kills the first guy. The second guy, not looking at him. The third guy, the Malusian Church, also not looking at him, looking towards like Moto or something. And then Wamai
This guy says, what's over there?
walks out of dirt. All right. Well, that was the game. Didn't Ask. 8-6. They probably qualify for closed. I would assume so. Just based on
slim
standings.
chance they don't, but
They were already in 10th. Like, so they already were pretty up there in the tiebreakers. So I imagine they probably conserve that spot and make it into top 16. So a very tentative congratulations for Didn't Ask, as the majority of our games have finished. I mean, we're just waiting for Homeland versus Ragnarok, Surf versus St. Louis Leviathans. Otherwise, I believe our top 16 are set.
Yeah, we'll take a look in just a few moments, eventually at that bracket and actually see that final picture. But until then, we'll keep it a bit of a secret from you. But that was an incredibly fun game, Harrison. But you know what would be more fun? You know what would be more fun? Stuffing your face full of a bunch of Mike and Ikes.
That's true.
Can tell
I'm
you
really
that.
hungry.
One of our wonderful sponsors for this event. You can take your candy game to the next level with a pack of Mike and Ike original fruits or a pack of Mike and Ike Mega Mix. Highly recommend. The delicious fruity chewy flavors will help fuel your game and power you up to keep you playing at your